Ken ahomachin yesiripe yehwe Chelsea ene Palmeiras game na Chelsea win 2-1 a ma qualify e dia FIFA Club World Cup semi-final. If you were one team many adwo mo ho e wo FIFA Club World Cup na Chelsea e ka ho ye tournament na Chelsea koye no one onya results. Every football club bia ko tournament bia na o expect so obeko wanim. And so bitima ko wanim a e results na obenya no ana de obeko wanim. Enti se ne wohwe Chelsea fans na anim a omo nyina anim a ye serious because ni team no e progress wo FIFA Club World Cup. So tournament e koso no Chelsea e win o ko nanim. De etoso mienu. Every single game bia Chelsea abobia no omo ye tactical experiment. Tactical experiment e chere say star na omo pese omo bon every single game. Coach necessary nsa no or try your mafofro set a bit mafa for the new season. And so tactical experiment at Chelsea ye e FIFA Club World Cup no e call menim. And Ken, the tosso miensa omo say nyeska e the free tournament we mu. Onim say so far FIFA Club World Cup na Chelsea wo ho no oma generate 61 million pounds. Enti odwe say e agro. Tournament na Chelsea bo no semi-final na Chelsea edru no wa generate 61 million pounds enye ska ketwa. So okaso o invest e de akwa akoto a top player obetimi pokra de akwa akoye. So Chelsea wo FIFA Club World Cup no onya results, tactical experiments and o say nya iska which are very good for Chelsea Football Club. Obi beka say Chelsea eyi Palmeiras e free tournament we ma and said that enye big news. Meti ase say o compare obia resources, o compare obia individual qualities Chelsea e was say Palmeiras oyi ni free tournament we ma enya dia enwoma bebre. But let's not forget this same Palmeiras and no top in the group or the bedroom this stage. This same team now about tournament ni nyina wetimi consider just 2 goals for the group stage edeba. Enti enfa won say Chelsea yebo boku a owosoro say Palmeiras boku no. Se wo check Palmeiras so modern boss so far na omon fe badly at all. So Chelsea yi o mefrim no. Ade a Chelsea ayade. Ken for match day 1 every single Chelsea game you mabo bia no be ka trust omo ye tactical experiments. Ahomachi e bia say sibie. Se me kwotena TV ho anase me hwe live match eya na me pese misua ade foforo e ka de minim no dada. Enti se me kwo Chelsea game na me hu different approach, different system ne tactics e ma me say sua de feda. Onim say against Palmeiras Enzo Maresca e decided so be use a new and a different approach. This time around o use a 316 diamond base shape. 316 diamond base shape ahomachi Chelsea use ye no. Se omu kra ball na Saloba, Levi Kowo, and Kukureya, and the Ginechiro. I will say this time around, the last game of boy before Palmeiras game, no, or the Kopama shifted for the left wing. By a Humachin or the Kopama ever more central, ever born the favorite position. And the idea me who say, or my Kopama, and a branch defense Enzo Fernandez. Time biano omunya that connecting passes no e yomumi enu anomo connected passes no and the amount many Chelsea play no cranny say o yusu ne striker Dilap as a bounce board. Time biano beti menya sa entry passes no enti Dilap no o yusu as a bounce board. Bounce board. Yes. HSA. Bounce board ni say fan say odi ade si ho na odi bibi bounce so odi ball so na asa about asaba. Okay. Enti Dilap no re striker no Chelsea benya entry passes biana eye wo se Dilap mum ana time bi omu use no as the entry enti ono ana beye offensive pivots a obe ore other opponent ni defenders no na Kopama ana Enzo Fernandez a connect passes no enti use Dilap as a bounce board for the final based on this baby Kopama gina no na just in the position pioneer ana omu attack biana ekoye 3 back. The last match omu boy no oma Kopama ana Kukureya e operate on the left side. By this time around, or the Kopama eba mfimfin, ano ma Kukureya omu ataki okoka Levi Kowo ana Chaloba ho. Enti omu ataki biana ekoye the 316 eye base shape ana Chelsea e use ye. Another new tactical experiment from papa friend Enzo Maresca. And Ken baby a Chelsea ne nam no. Chelsea ko final enye me wanwa e was that tournament. To be honest with you, omu get results omu pe a tactical experiment ne kuyi and omu get cash from it. Individually, obi to say enra ahomachi Andre Santos say ne performance manage no ho or we need a lot of 50-50 battles, you know. On say Caicedo and Timia operate as a deep line and as a defensive midfielder. Or you sue Andre Santos and Obo Preti or Saru. Or we need a lot of battles, you know. And at the Minister J. Andre Santos on Crani say, ne third man combination na ekoyi. Levi Kowo wechi hono enra anasa humachi ne ball winning ability. Anyhow we read the game no na e was so ed mame. Second half no the na game no e disorganized kakra, but you know Chelsea e yade. Ken William Esteval ye wo fidadem bebeka ne ho asem. Na nkofo nim se eye hype. Eye mede ene Chelsea fo na nkasa ahwe no menka ne ho asem bebre. New season or join Chelsea bobuku no. So you know mimi hu ne se baby a Chelsea ne nam no ombeko final e wo this competition FIFA Club World Cup. Yesa wo PSG and a Bayern. Ene another 12 game. These are two clubs are uko Europa. Omo performance ne e wo soro bebre. By currently say oh yeah fair the best club e wo Europe. Enya world best club e wo Europe e PSG bobuku no. Enti se team bi e kwa akohia PSG bobuku na onim se PSG team no e wo soro. Badia ba kwa mehu ni yese. Se wa check FIFA Club World Cup we a Bayern for so e performance e wo soro. Enti in as much as PSG e top club, omo nim ball ne ball, omo control game no, omo ball na efe, omo ti omo ho ase understanding wo soro no. Omo kwa akohia Bayern team a omo attack a ehu. Sa game we no ken. If both team to score, you most likely. Omo nyina me attack very well. PSG be she go, Bayern be she go. By the obe winning no, and ye too tight. Over 1.5, 2.5, both team to score. Miami team Real Madrid and Borussia Dortmund ebesi akan. Enra anopano obeye sorry be my manager. Se Florentino Perez say Real Madrid 4 players no entreaty FIFA World Cup ne to say UEFA Champions League. Dortmund enyi team abeka say F4. Though say anytime be a Real Madrid Borussia Dortmund biano. Real Madrid will upper hand by say team a progress here be do this level untimi underrate omo. And so meko win e dey ama Real Madrid bobuku no. Now yen ransom nim na menim sem nkofo twen Nico Williams in sensem no. Ken every single story about Nico Williams we read wo internet ya beka wo fi ha say no enye ntro. Every single story about him joining Barcelona eye no kre true do. Adia ba kwa minim eye say respect eye very important e wo wiase. Ken me no na ye adwuma. Maybe say adechina me mpese me ba adwuma a wo se me bo amane na me ka tro say boss we dey wadaroma nyam wo akina me koye ade o ba bi me mba because una oye me panyi a wo da mano a me dey respect e ma wo me mfa me pe enka se me mba. So respect is very important. And nipa wo pese ukọ wanim pa obi a oben bia se oya akra oya panyi e wo sa wo dey respect any nidie e de masa nipa no. Enti se wo ye footballer na show respect e ha adwen etimi affect you. Ye wo footballers bebrea o men room pempen so wo so mu do because of common respect. Me respect Nico Williams a decision. Me betine fidie we echi. Me betina ba bia ankoka say ade na Nico Williams ye no anya ade e ne personal decision. On anim de obeye ebeboa no. On anim de ekoso awo na busuem ana ono ankasa. Enti so say onko Barcelona. Mintimi mbeka say enye right. My respecting the decision. Na emum Nico Williams am fa respect ama Barcelona. To be honest. Onim say ade na ekoso ni nyina no. Enye Barcelona mpokra wo. Even Bilbao for mpanyimfo say omiyem hiomo at the time Nico Williams and Felix Tenta ebe ka chom so be renew contract no. Na Bilbao for kran susu da say Nico Williams ba be renew contract. Omo say etiki omo by surprise. According to Bilbao for nankasa wo. Omo say na omo the pressure ma Nico Williams na ebusuafo say omo be renew. Adia na Bilbao for na peni nyina na ye say obe renew and omo increase ni release clause omo peska kese from Nico Williams. I said the other day na kwaku chechim say Kepamo any other guys ni na ekono mo musika kese. By yete Bilbao oboku ni nyina no mo nim say player obetima mo musika kese pa no eye Nico Williams. Enti sa 58 million euros na ye release clause no mo nim say so. Enti no mo kra de omo expect say obe renew a no ma increase eye ade e kan say release clause no no ma ton no. Enti omo te say Nico Williams and a fellas center from some be renew no e shock omo including the 10 years. Oman susu da say Nico Williams eba be accept sa deal no. Barcelona target for wingers left wing no. Na Nico Williams enka home from the onset. Barcelona tini baby. Na Barcelona target Luis Diaz. Rafael Leao mo. Ana Barcelona ti omo baby. Omo mbo Nico Williams din. Ana wu Nico Williams. Oni abrante friend say Lamine Yamal kasa say. Afi we die, wo di bibi etu echi. O pese o join Barcelona. At the time omo shase from Euros ne sa. Ana Lamine Yamal ka kire o say, se obetima join Barcelona boboko na de di kan si ye no. Affect Barcelona mpanyimfo ahye omo. So the first person I was offering no, head coach Hansi Flick. Ana Nico Williams offer Hansi Flick. Ana opa na cho. Ana say this time around o pese o join. Ana papa friend say Hansi Flick. Accept ye. Ana offer Deku ka kire ne say Nico afrene na kasa. Enti opese oba join Barcelona boboko no. Na Deku na enye ni favorite ana na ye Nico Williams o. Die nti na Barcelona board ne ba say ebi mu 5% omo so omo nti ase. Na Deku na nkasa na komem na de opese ode ne ba no. Luis Diaz from Liverpool. Bernard Nico Williams call na oye no. A opa acho no ana ma Deku adwen sesai.
Nico de fa Lamine Yamal so. Na Lamine Yamal ema Nico ball Hansi Flick amane.
Ana Hansi Flick ne Deku kasai.
Hansi Flick so kobo Deku amane.
Good. Ana mo convince me ye bibia. Eno na ma Felix Tenter. Ekoshia Deku na ebeto abonten so moti hotel ho no. Yes, our 4 cousins hotel ho no. And Centroni baako ana kunya asa picture no. Ana mu nyina ate ase. Ana Deku ko convince Barcelona mpanyimfo. Enti Barcelona de na onka asa okosan Nico Williams. Wu Nico Williams na ato na aso pe Barcelona. Ena ma Nico Williams ebe na adwen say ne salary na anka first one muka asa mo de man no 12 million euros a gross no. Obe maintain the same thing. Even Pokra why you ready say obe reduce ne salary. Enti na Nico Williams de why you willing so obe join Barcelona. Ana Barcelona fo nyina ate ase mpanyimfo nyina ate ase say o de ebe work on that deal. Bilbao fo mpanyimfo anti omo ho ase omo de pressure to webusuafo so. Onioma ekoso nyina onioma omo di watem. Abrante e friend say Iñaki Williams ni senior brother. Ono ankasa ehira ni junior brother Nico Williams say ope Barcelona ko. Emfa ho ne threats, emfa ho ne ateti anom na busuafo fam no. Omo nyina aka say Barcelona opa join. Even Iñaki Williams aka say ebani movie from Spain. Se opetin kesi aba. Teams akesi e wo Spain no onko ba ko na ye Barcelona no. Enti ebusuafo no de na omode ye omo wo Bilbao ho nyina na omo mfa hu. No me decide so me join Barcelona. Problem ni nyina na ye say at the time Bilbao for ne chance ye say omo ko La Liga mpanyimfo e me ye be discuss ade ne say omo pese omo control Barcelona omo operations economic operations and ma La Liga mpanyimfo be ka say ade na who different club na be control another club economic operation no omo La Liga mpanyimfo mo nim de omo ya na and ma Javier Tebas ba bonten say up to date Barcelona entimi register Nico Williams omo sign na enti problem ni yes Barcelona ni come dey coach release close no omo says can by na dia can ye say omo betima register na because na was Barcelona omo financial fair play space na was omo release 23 million euros and say no betima really register Nico Williams so Felix Tenter after so call Bayern or call Germany or Sabishia Barcelona for no and obo sa Deku say mo betima register makra na and say ane and say no cry dia Bilbao krom ho no omo ma akra na busuafo pressure enti se mo san akra na ma ntimi register na eyenim gwase kese enti yenko written document say anasa written guarantee say se mo kotua release clause na betimi assign no se ametima register na se ma ntimi register na ye betima terminate contract no neskanashi so in community tin ni tietie nyina na ye say omo operating guarantee enye bibia
e dey na Barca ntimi anya because no omuni side gidi ni so betimi aya
because Barca say ye financial reports say ye financial analysis baby Barca gina say ontimi guarantee we say obetima register because Barca for nim pefe say e was so muko free 23 million euros so obetima yes ade na just so ma ton players and on players. And to pass and to me guarantee rating documents. On bet me promise or verbally. On bet me you so man the catch or say you bet me a register. By rating documents, they say acquire rating documents. Not specific date also be register. When to me register, sa contract no invalid. Obet me terminate. Na basa si koko tia na she. So financially, it make sense say basa be rating guarantee.
And then I had to basa for no pano.
Dear I had to money say. Omutu omu baby. And I'll say change na person oba. And no me jai di omu ye nyina. E di omu focus about so. Sa o se umbo bie mu pokran ka bo mama ne. Enti Barcelona dia show money say on fa respect and fama Barcelona. And Kalis obetimi afre Barcelona mpanyimfo say baby edru no. Mentimi an guarantee me say betima register. Enti we dey make renew my contract. Efe. Ba wan ka hwe Barcelona for beti an say be oba for announce. Sa wan fo bu ama Barcelona bobuko.
But they want to say report with free Barcelona, but say even Lamine Yamal no nya we also tea news no. So e be na Nico am Lamine money.
Minima de kuntia because maybe say osuro so
because all pabano or the Lamine so and Lamine man free a coach no and a coach no koye operations no de common pay for no. Enti e be na o free club na say o decide say o man no Lamine nya we.
Minima de kuntia ono nkwa nanim. That's the reason why I make us one respect am Barcelona for. Because me pese me ba baby me nyamba wan bebo enti ken me de Nico Williams or say we renew the contract no we renew to 2035 na the release clause en can 58 million euros say e 100 million euros plus 160 million euros and the release clause say team bia betima activate a 2026 me patroness here da be enye 2026 adentina be oba for say wow person obetima abetono no 2026 ya e chese na be oba ofo ni mpokra na yiska kese na omope
omo beton
by no mo peska kese enti no mo de release clause e be active na ko 2026
into your Barca fan ha obetimi call this boy as a betrayer.
Oh yeah, we betray Barcelona for
a betray.
Yes,
say o want me guarantee me so obetimi register me betray no way because to me yes ade na nka fa me
at the frontier we betray Barcelona na say those say Barca sentimi man rating guarantee na a verbal guarantee but we betray Barcelona for in a sense say o ma Barca for jai di omo ye nyina to work on this guy Kimbusa won say the international Barcelona for try so betima ton Fermin Lopez ojo say Fermin Lopez or a small player Barca for do Fermin Lopez but na Barca for try so betima nya big sale because of Nico Williams and it say o say omba obi entimi mbo by bo omama ne keke. That's the reason I make her respect. So maybe to me, I was here respecting Nico Williams' decision. By in as much as here respecting the decision, maybe to me personally, Obia wan adventure, one for respect and from Barcelona bobu. Ken, Liverpool for idea meniaje. Big and massive respect for Liverpool Football Club. Liverpool for supporters ene mituche ebo minsem de ma Liverpool team. Onim say Jota or you're the 9th highest paid player e wo Liverpool bobu ni. Liverpool players of money nyina no o kan mo jiska kese na Jota eto so 9th. Oje 140,000 pounds a week. So 140,000 no every year bia na 7.28 million pounds. The contract ebewu June 30th 2027. From ene enkosi sa time and the contract bewu no Liverpool salary also mutuama Jota nyina e 21.8 million pounds. Liverpool for say those are branch any hobby. But mu tues kan nyina no e de ama Jota ene na busuafo. Already, let's not forget Liverpool for retire any jersey number 20. And Kobe Bukabeka say enough. But apart from the jersey number 20 now Liverpool for retire no almost ni sika nyina no o say tua e de ama branch e say Jota ene na busuafo. Massive respect for Liverpool team no. Abrante friend say Casado Ken unim say Atletico Madrid for Abel Rim so mo pa Abrante no. Atletico Madrid for Abel Rim say Barcelona midfielder Casado omo pe no. Nyame ya aduma me boboso me the latest no need to beba. Juventus any Bisbisuma enkomo ekoso. Madueke any Arsenal de no. Arsenal for official bid nkoi. Ba me hwehwe mu kire say Arsenal for person mo di 40 million pounds eko. Chelsea pay 50. Arsenal for person mo di 40 eko. Enzo Maresca a coach at the Chelsea can you say or say wa follow Kudus from time I know why yes Enzo Maresca or see we di Kudus echi time I know why yes ebesine Kudus a top player or enough quality Benam say Kudus enyo mu player and on timi nka asem bi amfa ne ho say Kudus e ba Chelsea and I say on ba Chelsea by Enzo Maresca say wa follow Kudus for my yes ebesine Fali Ramadan a super agent AC Milan for akache Fali Ramadan say omu monitor abrante friend say that winning yes a situation no mini uye no Manchester United pay 160 million pounds from these 5 players and be 5 players we Manchester so omu pay 160 million pounds Garnacho 60 to 70 million pounds Rashford 40 million pounds Anthony 30 million pounds Sancho 25 million pounds Malacia 5 million pounds and it's 5 players we know Manchester for say omu pay 160 million pounds.
Well, Sawa Ubijnawa na others say about the Senna, but maybe it's just simple question na on finance seminar. Odolson, Boko Bim. Manchester United for free a year Marcus Rashford agent. Edia Tuna name Sakrano on Copetim. Or Mama a year holidays and vacation, no extended one. Tia Manemba back to Carrington. Na Moitimiasia catch agent and say the number 10 years in the Mayday. Maji. As ya bonipa na modern man in the day. Say the mama chias kunya. But a fair, quite more treaty boy in fair. As because I cry one of my cheteno. Intimate bebo at the time I'm more jitches in the crown. So better I catch agent and say, Ebian Jason number crown and then send your day. But almost some bo play and it didn't and say, the Jesse number near the mama chias kunya.
I respect so much catching and yes, over to social media. So I mean, and
yes, will be there.
Exactly.
And that's our 5 players and I come with you with him by no. Oma catch will be my extended Garnacho Mone Malacia. Oma extended Omunina Anthony. Also my extended Yamano Sancho. Oma extended. We move our show. We use almost fe.
You see,
Mobia Emma Carrington. Competing.
You see, my only problem is say, as far as these guys, they still remain Manchester United property. Now, when you banish them from training with the team, what devalue or more dada?
The prices are quite unya.
Exactly, and that is why I think Manchester United don't. Omunim say ni esi ton ade o asema de bia ya make no do clubs in Arsenal and Man U they don't know how to sell. These are talented guys but just that obu oha onye consistent obu oha adibu nti na oko. So it is not as if say bi omu nyina asa wo omu nsansa which you can negotiate and get money. No problem. If you don't want them, let them be part of the team. On say what big clubs normally done is say mama can some show. Omo nyina call pre-season na omama camera guys need to picture together with the group. Na ababon thing to say the yen nyina na ye training. Omo we after about 15-20 minutes na coach that separate two omo we training with those he needs. Inside and what banish you, but outside you are telling a story that they are still part of the team, they are important to the team, so that when you are selling, you sell them right. That is how you do it. What did I tell you? Say? Because it is very important that you paint the right picture to the seller, to the buyer. Say, Madiano, as somebody mommy, and a maton. Then you can negotiate well. Name so quiet this idea cramming pa when a babaton and I feel it is a decision that we are choosing Ruben Amorim over these boys. I don't have a problem if you're a coach.
Amorim no in our same form Simon. When you show no in our same Anthony Rashford na Sancho.
Na Malacia
they saw the ball when you be more.
And it's virtually all of these guys.
So now Omanche Rashford Jesse number na say we lose some Jesse numbers.
Possibly. She says so when a new player and request a number of any of them and they'll give it to them. Very unfortunate. You see, the last time United made another huge mistake, Omuchusu Ten Hag over Ronaldo. Later on they regretted. It is good to support your coach, but coaches be why I catch or say Omunyendrum Pempen so be on meeting up picky and choose you. sometimes coach no nyandru sa level na you help him anyway. Kireben awoshi ewo dunkwa wo no fin mami chia ne ye pa na Nico Williams conversation me person me fan from a different angle. Na Ken, first of all, first scenario, me be created 3 scenarios at the amount. Now, the first context the woman say, Javi Hernandez, Barcelona former coach. At that one team league, no, last season, no, Real Madrid scored more goals than Barcelona. Madrid conceded less goals than Barcelona. I say goals in common area. Safi no. Barcelona says 79 goals. Real Madrid say 87. Safi no. Na Barcelona who have finya so fast for. Inti we Lamine Yamal near body dia one of the young guys who was gaining grounds was Femi Lopez, if you do remember. Inti sa period no. Na Barcelona were in a desperate period. Listen to my conversation very well, because we need to add context to this conversation. Time Hansi Flick able taking over Barcelona no. Now Barcelona were too desperate. Because na anymore no Lewandowski afa anymore, Lamine Yamal afa anymore, but na kabako Femi Lopez kakra Hafinha no obobe system minutes na coach na yine film it got to some point in time no mo bought Gavi on the left wing okaya eto de bia na Xavi Hernandez timi bought Pedri on the left wing, so they needed a natural left winger or your right or betting ya bobo no. It is a sad time na Barcelona no me too desperate or cast up Nico Williams. It makes a lot of sense. Me what I say. So the context around the first knob, the first decision said Nico so on Mombasa no. Understandable because sad time no Barcelona were desperate. New coach aba, let's help him build the team because that time na Hafinha obi anyone no won imujedi. It's the first knob no me. I don't blame Barcelona. Nyamiadum boy na ma Hafinha na obieni ni mujidie no. He's had one of the best performances the entire career to the extent that Edrum Pempenso bi yesi Rafinha for Ballon d'Or meboa. This is a season Barcelona usher more goals, usher 174 goals, unlike the previous season. So previous season they were struggling for goals. The team needed a left winger. Now Hafinha comes on board under Hansi Flick. Team Nasha 174 goals. It makes a lot of sense. Bibi Akoye, Robert Lewandowski 42 goals. Hafinha 34 goals. It's the second scenario. They say Barcelona are desperate, unlike the first one. Me ba chocho min koma na mini udi na se. Se Barcelona are desperate dia. That's the team no already set up no hodada. And it's okay. We want to go to the different level. And I say a different level. So let's bring on board Nico. Niye fa Hafinha mbeshe 10. Se Hafinha ebon left wing wana and yes a team na say yo. And the decision that okay, let's give it a try. Barcelona are not desperate. The team is already there. Inti sad time, no. This is why I want to blame Barcelona kakra. Ken, say my only desperate there. And yes, all my club will be an answer agents be an answer player be better than sa. Say a first scenario, no, and a Barcelona, and you too desperate all chasing for Nico Williams. I clearly understand, but this year, I feel transfer window way there. In case was said Nico, mom they chasing Barcelona more. Barcelona fell for Nico Omu Bates no. And I am here because the last time I see my catcher on say, me say Felix Tenta Kwaku share Deco. One agent depending who yen asema na me catcher ha. Me catcher say asem ye twetwe so kakra. Because the meeting on Kosha Hotel only one century in the go. Hey, master, that's so much to send a dummy. Till before the first meeting, na Felix Tainter, boy ni agents, akusha Bayern Munich twice. Kemeboa. No we share Bayern Munich twice. The only difference are not a wom a wages. So sad time no, sad 2 meetings no. If Bayern Munich were willing to pay these guys wages, in what they say? Then you meet Barcelona and tell Barcelona say, boy, you're willing to play for Barcelona. Now, Kumemu they say, oh, are you ready to play for Barcelona? And I'm catching say, a lie or chantro. Because the Wakumem pass up and saw about the Barcelona. Then what was the meeting with Bayern Munich for? What did the meeting you say? So Wakumemu season way, who person about the Barcelona, and you question Bayern Munich here then. What's me go on? I mean, you didn't say because all this guy want to do is for him to play for Barcelona. Then no problem. Don't go and meet other clubs. Don't go and have another discussion with any other club. Go to Barcelona straight. But you have met Bayern Munich twice. And I'm saying, some I should try my soccer crack. Now Barcelona ain't careful kakra. And I remember. My boss near the Ababe drew this level. Say, oh, okay, we share Barcelona twice. And now we are willing to play. I have told you, say, you see, Barcelona's problem with registration. Clear, it is not as if say Nico. I can't say Obebonoana registration issue by me. What? Even last year, we had this conversation. Say, Nico or Sainia. A better chance on my register, me boy. Into the issue of registration, and a boy need to hono. Actually, my dream so kakra because before you met Barcelona, you already knew say Barcelona play be obefabiano registration. A better star be kakra, especially say waketso na wo jene was ra. Unlike Juan Garcia now on the obejiska the issue about registration in an American one day. That's a children dream so kakra because at the way about 2 years in OBA Danny Omo before he signed, he knew it, yet he signed. As I mean, Dekwama boy ne play no. Wama boy ne any nature very unfortunate. Say Barcelona big club like Barcelona and so Barcelona drew this season. It was like a boy na push it especially when Barcelona say Barcelona train a pound one and sound so money cheap your big club. You ain't seen to show on fire. Oh Jesus Christ!
Transfer
there is so who say maybe Matteo Alemani. If I just go there for half in if Chelsea for him transfer there, you play everyone want to be smart. Everyone want to be smart. Me feel say the best thing Barcelona needs to do, and they say next year I was say Barcelona tisika kese ko for Lewandowski replacement too, and I am again also. See, the proper investment should be the future number 9 for Barcelona. Safi, someone person cover winger be ba at least just to deputize and no problem. You go in for a loan, be play be no about short term. Because the bigger investment should be why never replace Robert Lewandowski next season because Ferran Torres want to mean for an internal so because me who say as some more it say Ferran Torres we are molding him as a number 9. He cannot do it. So say market him so open proper number 9 at all. You are looking at something around 90, 95, 100. It was a Barcelona Bob was because Julian Alvarez no. Atletico Madrid for fan if Manchester City, who I think is a better player to replace Robert Lewandowski. No, almost 95 million euros. Who can add those things in Abuma and a local fan if Manchester City. So that should be Barcelona's priority right now, and not necessarily Nico. But I have my game pa. Habasa. Chelsea game no me wonema 4. Me observe ya mpese me ni wodi hu nkomo kakra. Me wo line up no. Chelsea line up no na me disappointed kakra. Because say Romeo Lavia nye fit. Moises Caicedo ye onye available. I was expecting Andre Santos to play. Line up now by now regimes the nation. As I say, and regimes a pulley up or warm up. Say sir, and Andre Santos no more money more boni. So regimes when pulley up and I said now since now got Dario Sugu and Andre Santos. Ken 2 years in year. And now Maka Santos are some sasabo no ni body ball, ma Chelsea ma boy in go, no kwa Chelsea benunu. Oh performance. Whoever watched the game, I am not saying say Enuntina he's there, but obi ohwe ball ni bibia obi ni wa fame when Sky said do fin. Because I kept on saying say why do you have a solid defensive midfielder? Wa ball Brazil Argentina Vasco ho. Wa ba Europe. What do you call strike ball ki? She ball the French league Now about Chelsea give him opportunity now it's a bench. Now Chelsea ball James right back as a defensive midfielder. I did not understand it. Now sometimes you take advantage of situations. And then the pass say James when pra in Kayehu Andres Santos. And now the guy played very well. We did not miss Moises Caicedo. And now he was solid on the Enzo Fernandez partnership. Point number 2. Leandri Lapono. Ken. It is too early, but I think it's a baby okay kakono. Ono agasa invite pressure the man. Okay? Ada Chelsea for grab out Nicholas Jackson Bako. Unnecessary yellow cards. One of those things are Chelsea failed to tame Nicholas Jackson as a saber doom pempensobia striker Eddie red cards mono. ASR or starting unnecessary yellow cards. Leandri Lap onyam peke in form. Obaye just one goal and another shot against Esperance. But say we did 2 yellow cards. Watch one goal pe. But now how onyam you see I want to pardon him because since he said the young call baby no problem. But the unnecessary yellow card they say Chelsea next game on Bono, he's been suspended. And now boy me who said Joao Pedro airborne. Ken Dila Poma Joao Pedro gen number 9 no na so be because Pedro no otimi bo position biao. And now buy no as if he has been training with Chelsea for 1 month. He was okay. And Joao Pedro Nankasa born than an annual. Only born a botchain, you would Leandri. And he, I said, he's gradually inviting pressure at the banners, which is unnecessary. Point number 3. Referee needed 4 minutes and a torso. Now, 2-1. Okay. And now, manage Chelsea, the last 4 minutes at your year. You game, no? Not this be all about game in the movie. Na Nkunku Efrim Joao Pedro abeshimti the front four for Chelsea ebe game no Disbury Hall Kopama Noni Madueke and Joao Pedro 2-1 pressure Palmeiras for the pressure match Chelsea ideally one year we a team okwa kogu echiru anamebo ye be pon game you need to defend your goal. Chelsea decided to press them the last 4 minutes. I loved that. Back on 90+2. Nkofoni feel say Chelsea be ku achire mo the pressure to Chelsea so Chelsea front four no they were on Kofoni they were pressing them and then man this ball far ball or G-ball no na ball be di Kopama to Joao Pedro to Noni Madueke and Noni Madueke boya wherever yes I save you know. It is the same press within the last 4 minutes. And I'm not Joao Pedro any chance of bonso so boya wherever savior. So the last 4 minutes, instead of Chelsea sitting deep and inviting pressure on themselves, Chelsea decided to press. I love that. A solid decision because Palmeiras did not expect it to do so they were too confused. Last point in say.
Okay.
It is quite obvious to say. They say role of Noni Madueke will keep on diminishing every single day. Because they say, and I'm going to say, Obo Nkunku ahead of Madueke. And now whoever saw Julian Extravao, no, I bet Chelsea, no, Chelsea would want to move on. Now, Wakofa Extravao, but or probably Kudus, because now, and someone coach in the Kanfa Kudus, who want to, Maresca. I did not expect that statement from him, but for him to say, I know Muhammad Kudus for my ass. Master, nature say Chelsea were proper interest in the Mohamed Kudus. It looks like Noni Madueke no born like a kakwane, he will probably leave. So either Kudus, Ebebo, now still no way introduce you extra value. But from yesterday's game, I don't see Madueke continuing. Ken, Thomas Partey asam na mamenka kekrebi Samson fanka ho say.
Yeah, first you know first mama.
What we should start praying for and they say email na investigator another tool no. Emma obafufuru bia entwere nko.
Okay.
Because Benjamin Mendy no started with Mamiensa. Mamiensa no na ye 4 count pe. Thomas Partey I started with Mamiensa. The count in 5. But what I say?
Okay. So
initial report no. Thomas Partey dey no cry a dangerous change Benjamin Mendy there. Per the counts because Partey 5 counts plus 1 sexual assault. Benjamin Mendy there it was initial one no it was just 3.
I said it be count.
I said it be count.
Okay.
Inti first of all what we should pray for and say am I now sorry me Samson to say obi for France way unity.
But Met Police I didn't mama abim say oba bia wo bra.
And then they inti me say
I know police for mota yes.
Oh yeah Benjamin Mendy omu na omu biem.
Ebiem say obi a nipa no
because I don't feel say obi wo ha osuro
nti omra.
Inti now they are assuring you say they will protect your identity. Come. Inti because all the cases I have followed in nyina no ayana de man ye dangerous no say asam no kransa na ye ba be kana na man foforo be braid de omo de asan so aba inti na akwa say ebia ye be call first court na de what we should start praying for is mo bia amfa na de foforo san so nko
e man be hadwen
and it makes it very very difficult to apprehend because inti na ye be as I say, there toss will be also soon when it's from and yes, say abrofo man kwan it is say normally when we have this kind of issue, the first thing is that footballers they should be very careful about abrofo man be braina you.
Yeah.
Samson be braina so enye. Sana ya ye kromufu be braina ye be braina so enye. It is not a matter of race, a matter of character. Because I've seen white ladies, omo boa ko bibini abefa na ebusuafo nyina kwa.
Ama ko bibini so amafia no.
Ama ko bibini amafia oba no ama utim se broni pa.
Agene krata ko.
Exactly. Bebre na oba be fa omo free akọ. Onya krata na no eja no. So there are good white ladies there. Very, very good. I don't want to say.
And yes, bia yenya na abrofo de.
Ghana for the year issue be say by I know race abrofo de and oye bibini nti and aposi for the year say Ronaldo onye bibini and so he went through this process. There have been white guys who've gone through this. You know, ayana attack issues from the race pointer.
Okay.
We'll always get it wrong because the problem is the character. We are bema bompire say obabia onini be sign your be or your bapa. That is the most important thing. Enye koko, enye tuntum, enye fita. Ese se wo bompire se obabi asa onene chimpino, sa onene wariu. Ese se yo bapa. Asam ne tintin ni tintin ni nyina no.
Well, any of those Ediano no. Biggie, bre, but you will say you know Koso Portugal, but you won't images be. Say no hilabo match. You won't one image I can say you know Ruben Neves aba.
Wow, more courses here.
Or maybe do Portugal. Mama sa picture image and I mean videos on the beach. And almost sa but so omubo born and run a job. Na omuwi nrua na nwumre na omotimi aba to Portugal na no pa ide.
Wow.
Once never say na dam for pa.
Nrua musu yo. Nrua cancel crabo born and ni su still
na ni su neba. Me so show for me and say Biggie. Me was say images in the bio. Ma won say Liverpool for no so players no. One say afena a year pa na ye bia ma mu bia so baby. Enwa na ye sorry for no. Enti we Liverpool Van Dijk and a lady Liverpool contingent no anopai one say anopai there will be a suit no ball and also black into team Liverpool that we Nunes the first person who do one real no was send the team no into Liverpool for the year
sound no Sanson to for no woman Santini Abbey.
Santi Abbey, Biggie. Santi Abbey,
we Liverpool.
Just
penny for the players. And I could be more Darwin Nunes. And so Diogo Jota. Yes, now Omakwa. And so
Amon Saboy saying.
And then just a little you
and that's your Saturday. Santi Abbey, Liverpool 4 and Eba Munia. Bakope omono enen let's sabi asem kesi ya tom okay interesting. Ruben Neves the na make mamu say Ruben Dias so ne Manchester City ono so ne kra flower ono so e kono international teammate but my pictures no and I mean we why we Joe Felix ni some of different picture na me hwe we do be a black not just something we or non-qua. Would Jama Chelsea ana? We Bruno Fernandes and Danilo ni. Yenya bakwe Ruben Neves na jao. Anya ayini.
Renato
Viaga ne wan ekwe. Oni Cancelo. Checha say Cancelo ni Ruben Neves omo from America. Ababedu ayi na se nwa no bobo. Ewo ho. Enti die tieno no. Ti ya de na wi. Saboni we.
But my memory Liverpool for Nabaso. Bruni or Kasabi or say a nation that doesn't honor its heroes isn't worth dying for.
Hey, are you trying to show? Nelson Samedo no. Hey, Biggie. Samedo. Samedo afana so na de pa. The Krumpa.
Ti adebia Liverpool bia no. Ye and omoye. But whatever you are doing now, or send the signal to the outside world. Any players are more outsider, potentially and not possibly. Almost to bet me join Liverpool Bobo no say, or the home be Liverpool. Na nyame mfasa ma bibi toa enya dia Liverpool be jawo jejemu nti na feel say Liverpool is doing everything humanly possible said e be ya mo be kro mu nua na chi na afeyin so obusua no so atimi aye stable because name omo ye dia ma family no I was so to the extent say captain Van Dijk nso so volunteer say obe make sure so be take care of the family going forward. It is something good, it's a step in the right direction. Yemo Liverpool for now, so they have done very very well. Ken, Manchester United players now Manchester United person or tono. United is in a position now. Omuni option say omobeton players and sana there are other transfers Manchester United bobo kona timia transfers no. But when you get to this stage, it depends on how I'll be selling players into the outside world and at the kind of money I'll be attracted and so beba. Me jitum say players we omo Manchester United in here omo services. Not necessarily they are that bad. But in football, even if a player is so bad, or you're bad for whole club, no, any whole system. But there are other teams who be ready to member players an opportunity, no matter be see a kind wom. Real Madrid in Como Bebre cost surrounding Rodrigo. I highly possible say Rodrigo beat me for Real Madrid. But if you look at the Rodrigo Real Madrid situation, come faso any player in a deal Madrid and Marbon say mekanche or say autumn. Or mekanche or say or transfer list player no. And this is yes, I okosa ope Rodrigo. A boy Real Madrid pe and obebo and found say player and a na own hiano. Eti ubetimi akọ. Wo situation now the wadwene abusa akwada ni nya Real Madrid obefiri wonti ma men kona men konkofa no na Madrid a price akwala no na wanya sika papa bi e dia free akwala ni di omu Chelsea ni no ni Madueke. It is clear say no ni Madueke offer ban ne na say offer ne very good Chelsea be to apprentice na manako but Chelsea in transfer list no Chelsea in country obi aso on pen no ni Madueke e di opeso oton man ko there bi. It is a wokwa Chelsea say wokwa akwa no ni Madueke enya buo bi a wo pen na wo be kwa Chelsea boboko na so ye say wokwa akwa abrante e friend say no ni Madueke. No, these are things Manchester United should learn. You time one Chelsea boboko ni hia Romelu Lukaku, they found a way to sell the players say they be obenya sika and so dey free. Manchester United a creative portfolio amobi you see a friend chief negotiating officer Matt Hargreaves, but minima dey be on negotiating Manchester United. And on to na Manchester United the top players can na a problem. The omo beto so aye di bu omo. Wo na wonni ska na the beto player no. Won sanso ntimi nton wo de kakra ni ye. But wo konso ani e sanso de abu. And this is here Manchester United in common. At the end of signings, why they have to sell off players to make enough money to do recruitment. And not just what's a problem when you have a chief negotiating officer. See, this is the situation of Manchester United. Someone who can make us why I did now say to us to say, yeah, the BIA can't go and the break club. No. Ken, moving on. Kamaldeen Sulemana finally. Walando Atlanta Bobo Konim. Kamaldeen qualities has never been in doubt. Obin to me convince me ameteha. Say Kamaldeen Sulemana is a good player. He is a good player. A lot of qualities. Open the football, a typical winger. Ultimi money Kamaldeen from film. The pace was a winger here. Our flank and that's what the Bayer Juma. Kamaldeen Sulemana will be. He's a very good dribbler. The problem is to do goal posting anymore. Come be fast with the ball now to me a problem. But there have been a lot of times I who players are. And yama how mo career mo. But they force themselves to adjust to new situations and make sure say omo be polish omo no ma bobo na nema asesa. Timu Kruya, there have been players omo komo nema asesa de ama omo. They be American me boy de Mola Lukmandin. He wasn't a bad player in England, but in England numbers of the man Atlanta say I don't mean febi ma omo. Okoye nema asesa. We've seen Atlanta Bobo Kona. A lot of the players omo Atlanta say here. It was after they joined the club and we are saying Babette Omonka and Mupejabe big players. Matteo Retegi is a typical example. Nobody knew him in the Italian Serie A. Don't know Bobby. But move it to Atlanta. Oma ye player and one Juma Mende. Season ya in Italy. On an top scorer. Italian Serie A animal. It's all such a team muna neman konkan from Mawa. We are rest assured say, near be betting me as a based on the club you are joining. We are nuni free or ma. There are certain players who form to me conform. But Oshia coach be not coaching and Didio anymore. Whenever the coach moves, of a player and the neck on or the neck near Master Sunday Maumo. Carlo Ancelotti and the James Rodriguez situation sanity. No matter how much Rodriguez form a team or woman say Nyampoa. Carlo Ancelotti make him move no fragrant and say bra. Nebra be coming one. Play any movie call on pet. No a transform play and man near based on the kind of trust that when you with him. It's a Jumaka Krebina Ivan Jurek. Any Kamaldeen Sulemana. A year was Adamson Bobo Konimino. When who the kind of quality a player and he possess it. And all quack funding about Becano. So I am hoping to send Yama betting Assasa and Yama player friend say Kamaldeen Sulemana. Now I stay fit 100%. Injuries in Bebria memoir. I am sure the player never got it back to the best of form. But then again, Ivan Jurek as a coach. And so performance can be questionable. The last two Juma waye Roma and Koye. Oba Southampton the nenya kra. Southampton about 16 matches. 16 matches no boy. Olusi Mako 13. Or we need 2. League bako, F Cup match bako. And or draw bako. It's the coach in the performance and enya di obenya jidie bebre wom. Players na mabomu di wa Atlanta. Say you transform your mono. And your coach friend say Gianpiero Gasperani na yes Jumano. He's left to AS Roma. So I am hoping say Ivan Juric this time around and Yama be konkai the man because Yama konkai mano. Na otina team ni mu cha. Ono na de Kamaldeen Sulemana bae and no man that opportunity. One you fortunate. Na Yama konkai no free ho. Na new coach ba na umpel style of player. Na face o say baba betiakem and so ho. I am going to hope say coach and Yama better Sadiaman this time around. No one a good stay and so ho. Ken on the Club World Cup. And no Chelsea born am share you know. I was looking at certain players. Willian Estevayo is a typical example of that players and I'm share. What ball Brazil? What Judin? Among for whom? Our Brazil. Club World Cup and Anka Sampuno Bay, you know. Or performance has been good. There's that word attention on you. But such Chelsea supporters behel. Obi want to any team match cramp on her. It's a lot of the Chelsea supporters, I am sure. So even though at the Club World Cup no mu hebino, e bi mpa no mu nya hu abrante no. Enti se unya akwanya, unya opportunity na wo ba be share Chelsea bo boku no a. The assessor or you bring you a game on board. Na niema be konkan and so the amount. And no, that was exactly what the player did. Especially go no topping it up with that kind of performance. And so he's a left-footed player. It's most of the time, however, person such a player, what ball, na angle, na your tight, no. Levi Koyu, who had a very good game yesterday. And no baby opi abrante and kokko share no me sure say na level ko adwene ye ne say abrante ne left footed into angle na wa closing so much no there is no way so betimi abos a ball no with in the right foot e the aba goal post ni mu but Estevayo is surprise you be with that close or tight angle no sense with the weaker foot a boss a ball in the share no he has sold himself to the Chelsea supporters and then the world say ball now wa boy nam so ma Chelsea kwa fan abana not just by fluke but we prove it in that game so enra Branty and so a boy. Who you are not to free one more. Kopama. Ken, after more than a month, Kopama Timinia go the match Chelsea Bobokono. And it is something good for the player. They be a cast of football, no, the more you play better. And our confidence and so sober. To Kopama na ye huno. Do a toda no bo. But the numbers in ma na more performance na be assist in the kakaba. But goals in na emma. And this year, Ankasa Kopama goes a some way. Because Ken, the last goal of Shady match Chelsea before no goal no, was on the 4th of May. And Branty initiate goal the match Chelsea. Before that, not the last goal I was on 4th May game, you know. I was go for Chelsea. It was in January. It's assisted in the third or maybe. But goals in Ankasa. Ababa be a problem kaka and so the ama Branty no it will a player now go in such a situation now if you book game now goes in a chance yes I am sure you are going to be happy and every Chelsea supporter be and so be happy and so the ama player no I friend say I Kopama and so I was very happy with the performance of Dynedy especially all topping it up with a goal and so the ama Chelsea Bobo no Real Madrid ball Borussia Dortmund ne obe expect it so be more a typical Real Madrid performance. At the start of the Club World Cup, na coach Xabi Alonso so performance akwa ye bibie wo honom no gradually unsa ade na o che no coach ne nsa no e Real Madrid team ne so fortunately for him okwa share team onimomo very well. I am saying very well because he's been playing with Borussia Dortmund and so Bundesliga anymore. Etimomo per year, setting up the team to be able to beat them and share that problem, baby. And some from Maomo. The 3 defensive men on the body of Real Madrid now so more cautious. There are players in the Borussia Dortmund team clearly almost said that kind of performance on my Dynedy in the just ended season, Champions League especially, and by fluke. Player Mekan on Wasem has been saying Girassi. In this particular tournament, the player's performance hasn't been bad. Oh, per attacker. When you a lot of attempts at goal, can a player friend say Girassi? 17 attempts at goal. It's in clearly the edge and say he's one player who tries a lot when he gets to the goal line area. It will a Real Madrid defender. Such a player, you are doing it, and they were neat, and so the free. So Kylian Mbappe is fit now, but I don't expect a coach in the best at Kylian Mbappe. Ken Mbappe me sure say with the matches remaining in the Club World Cup Obebo wiase bo nyina krampo no kwa betimi manage Ballon d'Or. The kind of rise that player friend say Gonzalo Garcia enya no Elisa Okate saade no he's a young player obi one mentally or tough o bench no now the Kylian Mbappe boy anytime we be opportunity be and still obetimi abo but obi so looking at the performance award dine the Real Madrid Club World Cup ni no ukoko yini film na Kylian Mbappe ba ebetimi adenti akwada na spirit and he hasn't been bad and Kylian Mbappe we are talking about Ken free injury ba me sure say why 100% fit a few minutes to bet me about no changing no it's the identity now man started from the bench rather that's a few minutes to be here on fan because you are in place of him no and so prove it and I believe that Real Madrid no matter how difficult it is going to be I feel they have to get this particular win at the expense of Borussia Dortmund with no disrespect. Madrid performance our Club World Cup keeps rising clearly we are the coach in the players and APK and may sure say win no ever call the Real Madrid possibly a 3-1 win for the Real Madrid club Ken.
The final na be ho na say Chelsea dey so mo ko final
oh yankoi
ebi mo so mo share Club World Cup na Chelsea our matches ni matches ben so for mo bo one
Chelsea
Benfica
yes Omabo Benfica Esperance Flamengo Palmares and I for
LAFC yes
LAFC
Los Angeles FC
I don't know how much you say sir
on a group stages ni obo Esperance obo LAFC na obo
Botafogo
Flamengo and we no obo Benfica
no obo Palmares
and now obo Fluminense
LAFC Esperance Botafogo
Ken clubs na
say so need your son na bebo Fluminense
it's a Brazil
uni say Bayern Munich PSG bonne
yeah
unim sa
yeah
When say boss how much?
Sure.
Kempacho Hilal for no. Omi City for free mo.
Oh, men
And a Fluminense so in any day. And a qualify no. Omi nyina ya de. What you say? Ibi susu ya de change. But those clubs now, you per see a brush. I mean, come on, Ken. Benfica for me a small club, sir.
Benfica. That's a Benfica. They say Newcastle and Nottingham Forest. Difference, Beno.
And they say take over Chelsea here.
Minka. The patch say, Oko tournament be a good draw.
And you mum
what you say? Because Obo LAFC, Obo Esperance, Obo Botafogo. Now wabo
Flamingo, I think.
Oh, that be Obo Flamingo. And I was Yababo, your fancy. No Ababo Benfica, and I wabo Palmares, and was Yababo Fluminense. No, I could find her.
It's a Fluminense. Why Hilal for the free? I didn't know find Hilal for 68 million show. Where they be a
United come back on.
Oh, can me write Chelsea off.
Obianca's all right, Chelsea. Yeah, about a draw, lack of draw.
Can Chelsea and Yalak, but they have put in the work.
Yeah,
because these clubs we are talking about, and Anakwa Kukano, Fluminense, Hilal Efrim. Does that make them a bad team? Because we are Hilal performance. Our Club World Cup anymore. They've given an European standard performance. Our Club World Cup anymore.
Maybe so say. So we tournament. Now we a big club like Chelsea. Now baby I won't no any. Automatically we go final. This will be an upset to be the bed. ABC. Enti and America clubs no. Even I was semi-final across saying Fluminense. And I make catch us say and Bayern Munich ni PAG heading.
Ebo.
PAG ni Bayern Munich the obession you could be an Real Madrid heading. Ebe to me Shiama possible. Let me what you say.
Yeah.
And once some America
Omo ya de e no ma buy mu chindi second.
Okay.
What I say. And buy now also
Benfica crowd won against Bayern Munich.
Because omo ya de a.
Tamana ba na qualify we no.
O say no. What I say internet
there. Chelsea intimate dodge forever. If Chelsea if Chelsea is that bad, at least enko final na there. You be who there Chelsea because Madrid lane no. Then as a big team is back could be more finals. It is a Chelsea team could do finals now. On dodge forever.
Okay. Chelsea we conference league already a Club World Cup with Unim say Tamayam in Nam Haya na kwa. And can go back say o Masha Messi. Meba Kenya sana go for back.
They say money one now.
And I make Kenya and yes sana go for back.
Go for back there.
Say FIFA Shishai.
Eddie Messi.
Young fancy way na yen kumo and when we say blues on be trouble me kakra but I didn't much margin e muda ho okay and say the final images say the enya abana bi Diogo Jota and na omote na mum no e kono and one no say the asi ana asi and one no. Okay. Diogo Jota. Casket na na kono.
Bi say dey na hajun. Omo bi say dey na. Hajun.
Yan fancy